can
Sorry.
hear you. We will
Welcome.
start in a minute, Christina.
Thank you. Sorry, it was not connecting. It wanted a password, so I had to restart my computer. I'm so sorry for that.
No
Don't worry.
worries. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's 6 p.m. Central European Time. Good evening, everyone. From Usomi, I am Gennaro Danna, a neuroradiologist from Legnano, near Milan, in the northwest of Milan, Italy, and I'm so happy to be here this evening with you, and especially with my partner in crime, Pinar Yilmaz. And I missed so much the atmosphere of Usomi webinar, so I'm so happy to be here also with our friends from European Federation of Radiographers Societies. Pinar, it's your time. Please unmute your phone, your mic.
Thank you so much, Gennaro, for this nice introduction, and what an amazing evening for us to moderate together again with this very special evening webinar with the European Federation of Radiographer Societies, in which we have two great speakers, Hendrik Erenstein and Christina Malamateniou. So we will first start with Hendrik. He does medical informatics with Hanze in Groningen and has a broad interest in AI and has prepared a great presentation about medical imaging. And then we will continue with Christina. She's obviously a well-known member of USOMI and of course of the European Federation of the Radiographer Societies with an extensive resume of research at several hospitals. So I think let's just start with the webinar since we have shortened the time. And if there are any questions, please write them in the Q&A box, and then we will have a discussion after the two presentations.
Yeah, great, Pinar. It's so crucial for us because we are a society that is not composed only by physicians, but with all the actors of medical imaging, and it's so important for us to stay informed on how the other figures, like in this case radiographers, are viewing the AI revolution. So, Hendrik, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you, Gennaro. Thank you, Pinar, for this kind introduction. Let me quickly share my screen, which should come up in a second. Yes. So
we see everything, don't worry.
Thank you very much. Gennaro already pointed out this might not be the most original title to start with, but it is more important to look at the subtitle. I will be sharing a perspective on future-proofing medical imaging professionals. In my case,
we appreciate your originality.
No worries. I spent some time on the prompt for the image in the background, but then again, it's AI. My perspective is as a lecturer, researcher at the Hanze University of Applied Sciences, where I teach radiography, radiation protection. I'm involved in positioning AI in our educational curriculum, involved with bachelor research and all kinds of other educational tasks, like most lecturers and professors alike, of course. I'm currently in my 4th year as a PhD student under the supervision of Peter van Ooyen of the University Center, Medical Center in Groningen, where I look at the role of imaging quality on AI predictions, a relatively broad topic, of course. And I'm an active member, like Pinar already pointed out, in the IFRS and USOMI. So Before I truly kick off, I want to point out the absurd reality in which we are currently living. And I'm not only referencing medical imaging in this case, but the whole society from a technical perspective. The amount of developments we are currently going through is just absurd, but more importantly, the thing I find very hard to wrap my head around, is the fact that it's also self-explanatory. The moment something new comes out, it's cool and it's there and we accept it. We no longer think about it. And that's the most absurd thing, I think, which is going on. And to highlight the amount of developments going on right now, I want to use this visual by Max Rosner. I would like to urge everyone to have a look at this. It's a very interesting blog post which he put out there on ourworldindata.org, in which he starts out with this circle on the lower section of the image, in which you have just a handful of developments, and then you have these stretchers from left to right, which represent 1,000 years, in which also not a lot of developments take place. And then suddenly 1700, 1800s, things start to kick off. And right now, the amount of developments we are going through is it's just mind-blowing. And I live in a very small, niche, nerdy reality, to be honest. My interest, like already mentioned, is in AI, medical imaging, radiation safety. There's a lot of overlap in these sections. But the things which are also going on, like CRISPR, human computer technology related to interaction, it's just absurd. And I think we can try and accept it more, what is going on, and try and see the beautifulness of what is going on, but also try and realize the challenges they bring. Which brings me to this specific episode of Black Mirror. For those who didn't watch any Black Mirror episode, I would like to urge you, almost beg you, to watch some episodes, because it's a very, very well-written show which highlights the chances and risks AI and technological developments provide us with. In this specific episode, in which Donald Gleason and Haley Atwell play the lead, they are in a relationship, and Gleason gets to pass away, sadly, in the show, his character that is. And Atwell is put in such a position that she uploads his chat history in a platform which starts simulating his way of communicating with her. And from there on, it kind of heads in the wrong direction, like a lot of Black Mirror episodes do. At the time I watched this in 2013 when it came out, it was a very interesting concept. However, 9 years later, with the release of ChatGPT 2022, November 2022, people truly started doing this. They uploaded their mailing history of their passed away loved ones, and they started interacting with their loved ones. And it's just absurd that we are in this position, aside from the discussion that they are basically just pushing a boatload of sensitive and emotional data back to a commercial company, but that we are simulating the loved ones we had. And this concept, this technology, is often referred to as grief tech. And it's interesting to look into, because there are some developments and there are some indications that it does help us with grief and loss. However, it's also ethically very challenging to have these developments just out there without thinking about it. Which provides me with a bridge to AI. What I was asked to talk about by our SOMI colleagues, of course. AI itself, an umbrella term, it doesn't say a lot. What I will be looking into is mostly deep learning and the subsections within deep learning. So we'll just skip over this because it should be known by a lot of us right now. And I will head into patient interaction. The healthcare professionals we represent, our role is partly in communicating with patients. We do that ourselves, but since the rise of the large language models such as ChatGPT, we have seen a lot of developments of being implemented in healthcare systems. November 13th, 2023, just about a year after the release of ChatGPT, the University Medical Center in Groningen already implemented a large language model to answer questions related from patients in their healthcare dossiers. These questions were then screened by healthcare professionals, but then again, it is out there, it is being used. I know a lot of radiographers and radiologists are using large language models to develop information material for patients. And there's also a lot of experiments going on with structuring unstructured reports to use in AI training. So these models are here. There are a lot of pros and cons, and I would like to urge everybody to look at this piece from Tukba and the rest of the authors involved, of course. Our colleague from Yosomi has written a very nice piece about this, about all the fundamentals, applications, and ethical considerations related to large language models in radiology. And for those not limited to radiology, please realize that a lot of these large language model applications tend to be able to transfer to other subspecialties as well, such as radiation therapy and nuclear medicine, of course, but also in more general healthcare settings. More specific at image acquisition, looking at autocollimation, for instance, we have semi-automated positioning in the X-ray rooms themselves for the last 20 years or something, but those were fixed positions and they are still in use. However, more recently, we're seeing the rise of autocollimation, in which, for instance, for chest imaging, the system recognizes the patient outline and the anatomical landmarks, and it individualizes the X-ray field size to provide an improvement on the workflow for X-ray acquisition for chest imaging. I have to point out that going from publications, I have just one example here, but looking at publications, there are some time profits to be made, and this publication roughly hints at a 10-second time profit, 15-second maybe. But in a examination which lasts 3 to 5 minutes, that's not a lot of time which is saved. However, it's not only time which we are gaining. More importantly, probably, is the reduction in variation in field sizes, and with it, the stability of image quality, which is related to field size itself because of scatter radiation and dose, of course, too. So that's one of the implementations we are currently looking at. Then we have MRI scan time reduction, of course, which I think might be the most impactful one at this point in time. MRI scan times, we know them to be quite some time. Whole sequences together are half an hour, 45 minutes. With the introduction of scan time reductions, we have seen them being reduced by 50%, which is quite a lot, to be honest. And this might be the most impactful AI implementation on clinical workflow at this time, because it is relevant for just about every acquisition, where the developments and implementations in diagnostics for now are often focusing on one specific pathology. However, changes are going on there as well. But then again, this is from the perspective of a radiographer. These improvements in scan time reduction do provide us with some challenges as well. When these are not implemented very thoroughly, they tend to reduce the scan time, which is the thing we are going for. We want to help more patients and improve efficiency and reduce waiting times for the patients who are already waiting. So that's good. However, what we are seeing the signs of right now is there is an increase in experienced work pressure from radiographers and radiologists because there is more examinations to be performed, imaging to be acquisitioned, and diagnosis to be performed as well. Once the backlog of patients is gone, some hospitals are running into the fact that they are running into holes which are opening up in their program, which is not optimal for patient workflow. And with it, the profits in time made kind of start to vanish. Additionally, what we might be running into is with the increased accessibility of MRI scans, there might be an increased question for MRI scans. So I'm not sure where this will be going, and the signs might be picked up quickly enough to permit limitations of the largest increase in work pressure. However, this is a risk in the implementation of AI tooling without assessing the whole workflow as a big chain. Quickly summarizing, what we are seeing is the implementation of AI, again, the umbrella term AI, in different sections of the imaging acquisition and diagnostics process. Starting with the examination request, examination planning, which a lot of tooling is being developed for. Large language models already play a role in examination request assessments, however, still in the experimental phase in most cases. Image acquisition, we have seen the auto-collimation. Auto-positioning is also being experimented with. So fully dynamic X-ray tube positioning for conventional imaging. And we already have 3D positioning of patients in CT scanners. Then we head into post-processing, which a lot of optimizations is available using AI, and finally diagnostics, which has been a constant field of developments on the radiologist side, of course. Very interested to see where this whole development in the workflow will be going. However, it should be clear that there are a lot of chances and opportunities for differentiation of the radiographer role. Radiographers as radiologists and nuclear medicine technicians, etc. We all have our subspecialties, and we are well aware of workflows in clinic, and we might be able to help with the implementation of AI or the development of AI. And this is probably of a chance for radiographers and technicians alike to provide some insights into and help with a successful and responsible adoption of AI. Furthermore, and this is a very interesting development to be looking at, and I'm not sure where it will be heading. In the UK, there is already the reporting radiographer. There are some developments and experiments with implementing a reporting radiographer supported by AI in the Netherlands as well, and might be going on elsewhere in Europe or globally, of course, as well. So I'm trying to see where this will be going, and it's very interesting to see because it opens up opportunities for radiologists as well to pick up more of the difficult and complex cases, while radiographers handle the more accessible workflow in this. But I have to see where this will be going. So AI itself provides a lot of chances. However, we should be aware of the professional development. We should also be aware of a broader perspective of AI, because its challenges are not only related to medical imaging, but also on a larger perspective. Then AI itself is not limited to just AI. We have interactions with PACS, with image quality, with post-processing, etc. So we should try and take a step back and take a meta position on imaging informatics, as it's referred to, from the working group Christina is now running with me and a lot of some other colleagues from IFRS as well, to try and assess what knowledge is needed. And then finally, we need to try and push for acceptance and also increase social awareness. And for this, I have 3 slides left just to pick out some of these topics. First, the broader perspective I'm referring to is quite complex to limit, but one of those topics I feel is implementation theories. And I really have a soft spot for UTAUT, the universal of the user acceptance of information technology, a unified view by Venkatesh, which provides insights in which different topics are relevant to assess and optimize for successful implementation of technologies. So AI as a technology fits into this very neatly. But where do we position this in educational settings is very hard to pinpoint, because we are running in the Netherlands, we are running a 4-year program, and we are tackling radiography, CT, MRI, radiation therapy, nuclear medicine, ultrasound. So it's already packed, but we try and get at least some students to have an increased awareness of implementation theories, for instance. Another topic which is very relevant to address, I think, are the professional development skills, and more specifically the 21st century skills, which are still not dated. They have been developed somewhere in the 1990s, 1980s, if I'm correct. But with the rise of large language models and fake information, synthetic information, and the hype, the existing and maintaining hype about AI itself, we should try and be critical of the provided chances, the information which is available, but also we have to have a certain degree of flexibility. We do not know where our profession, our medical imaging field itself will be at in 15 years. It's very hard to predict, like we have already seen from the Jeff Hinton, was it in 2016, who mentioned that we should stop training radiologists. Of course, he's an outsider in the field, but he is a very smart guy. But it's very hard to make predictions regarding the developments which will be going on. And finally, I feel as an educator, it's also almost mandatory to increase social and societal awareness about the limitations AI has. There are a lot of chances, and I'm pushing students to use AI for reporting, for instance, and try and assess where you can use AI. However, also try and push for increased awareness about the challenges it provides, like the Jevons paradox I just mentioned, with the MRI scan time reductions, with the pros and cons, and the thought through implementation processes. However, looking at large language models, this is one I often pick up. It's a report from UNESCO which highlights specific prejudices regarding gender inequality and geographical inequality persistent in large language models. And from a certain perspective, they might look like just words, but we should try and stay aware of the fact that these models are predicting the next word in order. So if there is a preference for specific words, like the global north woman girl in the lower left, with sparkle and picking wildflowers and being handsome, the model is more likely to go along this path and provide very prejudiced output. So it's something you should be aware of as a user in general. a lot going on here. If you want to know more, I would like to urge everybody to have a look at these books and the documentary Coded Bias as well, which is almost a must to look at. Thank you very much for now. And if there are any questions, we will pick them up afterwards.
Thank you so much, Hendrik, for your presentation, and especially for your multiple seeds for thoughts. I have to admit that I didn't watch the episode of Black Mirror yet. But I think that tonight I will take a look, and I think later I will try to get something more funny to rebalance everything. But I don't want to waste other time. Meanwhile, I suggest all the people to write questions for the audience, and I think meanwhile that it's the time for Christina Malamateniou to start her presentation. And Christina, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you to Yusomi for inviting us tonight. I hope you can now see my screen. Hopefully, I'm going to put it now on full screen. Hopefully, you can see that as well.
Yes, we see everything without any problem. So,
fantastic.
Christina, you can.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Yusomi. Thank you, EFRS, and the partnerships are great. Thank you, Henrik. We have worked a lot together, and it's a pleasure to follow after you, having provided such a nice introduction and seeds, like Gennaro said. So my topic is AI in radiography practice, technical aspects. And I'm also doing that other than my employer as a board member of Yusomi, which I have enjoyed the last few years, working with an amazing team, but also as the newly established chair of the EFRS Imaging Informatics Working Group, where I work with Henrik and some really lovely people. EFRS is an organization representing more than 110,000 radiographers in Europe, working to advance education, research policy, clinical practice, and partnerships with key partners like Yusomi and other professional bodies and learned societies. The objectives of my talk are to speak a bit about how professional values are changing in our identity in radiography, how AI is being implemented in medical imaging for radiographers, training and governance requirements, and some take-home and messages and points. Now, any time that advanced technology is happening in radiography, and we have had so many recently, AI and high field, photon counting, microbubbles, 4D ultrasound, remote scanning, digital twins, and more coming our way, the thing we're thinking is, because we balance between technology and patient care, will we really have enough time to care? Because our profession is a caring profession, first and foremost, and we have been used in changes in technology, but our identity remains centered around the patient. Now, when it comes to different technologies, including AI, we all want to have amazing AI that is fair, and Henrik spoke about fairness, safe, highly efficient, high efficacy, diagnostic accuracy, is explainable for patients and professionals, reproducible, and cost-effective. This sounds like the ideal scenario. Unfortunately, in recent exams, we see that this is not often the case, and AI implementation, when not managed properly within the multidisciplinary teams, can be unfair, not always safe, with low efficiency or efficacy, can be sometimes a black box, not usable, error-prone, and high costs. We have worked together with different people, radiologists and radiographers, many people from Yusomi here, to construct a narrative review on recognizing AI errors, and I really applaud Henrik for recognizing this for his students as a priority, to see the limitations of AI, because unfortunately AI is not infallible. There are so many areas, including the AI model, from the inception to the development to the deployment and post-market surveillance and decommissioning, to the infrastructure that is very often lacking in many of our large hospitals, even in the large hospitals, and the very complex area of the human factors. That can be one presentation on its own. So what can we do? AI education and upskilling, multi-professional collaboration, and Yusomi has been really spearheading the multi-professional, interprofessional collaborations, which are very important for AI and any other new technology implementation, leadership and governance. When it comes to radiography, we're very unique. Our professional identity is changing, and identity means attributes, beliefs, values, motives, and experiences in terms of which people define themselves in a professional role, or if you prefer a simplest definition, the way that professionals see themselves in terms of who they are and what they do. Every time there's new technology, every time this technology is adopted, professionals will reconfigure their professional roles and identities, particularly relevant in situations where technology is speculated to replace what humans will do. This is exactly the case with AI now. And it has happened before. Any industrial revolution, really, there have been similar discussions. It's not a new scenario we are experiencing. It's just our lifetime experience is that. When it comes to radiography, it's a profession for helping others in the community, and our practice, whether this is clinical practice, educational practice, or research practice, is underpinned by 3 pillars: patient safety and do no harm, image quality or treatment quality for therapeutic radiographers, and patient care, patient-centeredness. And these are the guiding principles of our profession. And we balance always between technology and patient care because our role and our identity is always dual. There is the solid command of scientific technology, our technical competencies that we need to have, but also mastering the humanistic world, which is the humanistic care aspect of it. Recently, I asked some of my year 3 undergraduate students, why do you want to study radiography? Which are your values? What do you want to achieve? And I allowed them to enter 3 different values, their top 3 values in a word cloud. And the word cloud, the font size of the word increases when it receives more votes. So you can see the top values here are loyalty, honesty, helping others, integrity, friendship, and all of these things that really matter when it comes to healthcare. I cannot be more proud for them. And I really think this is what guides radiography, whether there is a new technology or not new technology. This is the driving force. This is our moral compass. It's implemented in different ways in radiography. So AI has different ways, absolutely. And we can see that radiology and radiography as a domain really is driving the AI implementation and applications forward compared to other specialties in healthcare and medicine. There are many different definitions. I would like to give you my definitions. I think it's about standardizing medicine and healthcare diagnosis and treatment based on predictions from observed patterns in populations. I also believe that it's more about integrating maths into medicine and increasing the accuracy and customization of patient care by using big data, so big that the human brain cannot really retain or recall with certainty, so it needs a smart assistant like AI. And this is another powerful tool in our hands to support our clinical practice and delivery. Unfortunately, AI is in the news for the wrong reasons. There is a lot of scaremongering and misinformation, as you can see here on the front pages of many newspapers, and it's not actually quite right. That is a clear and present danger to education. However, what we need to be focusing is the huge potential for saving human lives, detecting cancer earlier than healthcare professionals do before it becomes visible to the human eye. And there's a beauty in that because many human lives can be saved, many patient outcomes can be improved. Less treatment time, earlier treatment time. So all of that is really important. And that's why we're all in it, aren't we? So in medical imaging and radiography, we can see that on MRI, CT, and ultrasound, the computerized modalities, there's a lot of AI application. And there's a lot more on areas that relate to research priorities like brain in neurology research, cell in biology research, and lung and breast, in areas where there is a lot of screening or exploration or large data sets, because AI, after all, is a data-hungry monster. And this variability in implementation is driven not just by the availability of data, as we discussed, but also by healthcare priorities, with a lot of applications around COVID-19, local population demographics, and the incidence of pathologies for specific patients, the industry interest, and this cost-benefit analysis they have to do to ensure they invest in a specific area of practice, and very, very importantly, the acceptability and adoption of AI, machine learning, deep learning by practitioners, and this can be radiologists, this can be radiographers in our case. And there's a huge role for education and training in this last scenario. There is a lovely paper by a radiologist and a radiographer here, Professor Hardy, Professor Harvey, that outlined how AI can work in radiography, from the patient checks to the planning, to the image acquisition, and to post-processing. And each one of those has different areas and tasks assigned to it. Particularly in radiography, it can be as a workflow and appointments tool, a tool that safeguards patient safety by reducing radiation dose, MRI safety checks, helping with request vetting and ID confirmation. A big thing is around image quality optimization. Some countries also have image reporting and interpretation, and also patient care, patient positioning, follow-up examinations, and longitudinal studies, particularly for research centers. There are many things to be gained, or at least many promises from AI gains, and there are 4 areas where AI has promised to improve radiography, radiology, and all the associated professions. There are efficiencies to be had, there is efficacy and quality of clinical service, there is patient experience to be improved, particularly for standardization of patient safety, interoperability, and customizing the examination based on individual patient needs and preferences, also minimizing repeat or failed scans. But also there is a huge interest now that our workforce, we all know it's quite burnt out, staffing issues occur, resources are low, to ensure that AI can be used in positive ways for staff well-being, actively, not passively, for staff well-being. This is not all rosy, as we said, and AI is not infallible, but also it can have some very real threats, things like automation bias and over-reliance on AI, impact on human performance and de-skilling, the gray area of handover between human and computer, lack of transparency, and the reiteration of the black box culture, which creates lack of trust, and of course acceptability by patients and practitioners. If we get it right, like Henrik said, if we use AI responsibly, we can have a fairer, more efficient, more effective healthcare system with better patient experiences and enhanced staff well-being. But we have to actually put a lot of effort in implementation and work together for that. There are many different enablers when it comes to AI implementation in healthcare. It has to address the clinical needs. It has to solve a real problem. We need to have the right infrastructure in terms of digitization, connectivity, quality of data, and security. We need to ensure that through education and governance frameworks, through transparency and evidence-based practice, we can build back the trust to ensure acceptability and adoption. And we need to ensure that the funding models are out there to ensure the sustainability of AI in the new healthcare delivery. We cannot do any of those things without training. There are too many papers to mention here tonight about the need for training in AI. The AI Act has actually mentioned that on Article 4, the importance of the AI literacy for all stakeholders, including healthcare practitioners. It was a lovely paper by a lot of people from USOMI here on guiding AI in radiology. We have also done some studies in radiographers, particularly in the UK, but also globally in different countries. Not too many to mention tonight. I mentioned our study, which was one of the first ones to be published. We found out that radiographers have a low perceived knowledge, skills, and confidence when it comes to AI. This is changing with time, but is not there yet to ensure safe and effective implementation. We are very lucky to have the ESR Masterclass in AI, some really lovely courses there with 5 modules that have worked quite well for both radiographers, radiologists, and other associated professionals. There are many other societies that work around that, also multi-professional, the BIR, the Royal College of Radiologists. They all develop their own courses. The problem is it's very difficult to find these courses and understand the particulars. So with USOMI, funded by USOMI, endorsed by USOMI, and also supported by the FRS and ESR, we have worked on the AMIRO project with Henrik, with Robin, with Nikos, Jakob, and the boards of EFRS and USOMI, of course. To now, the paper is nearly there. It's going to be submitted very soon. We're working with Henrik this week. And the AMIRO website will bring together a centralized database, searchable, that we will have all these different courses with all their different characteristics, so people can search for that and find the one that actually works for them. There's a lot of publication around AI education for radiographers. We run both postgraduate courses that you can see here. We also had Peter from USOMI presenting, and it's a multi-professional, multidisciplinary course focused on medical imaging and radiotherapy professionals. We also do undergraduate courses and short webinars where you can see immediately, even with 1.5 hour seminar or webinar, the students immediately increase their knowledge, skills, and confidence in AI, and they start to ask the right questions about the future of the profession, key competencies, how can I train better to have an added value as a practitioner within AI. We also have our AI textbook for radiographers with Springer, and this is actually out now. It's ready to pre-order. It has 15 chapters, different modalities, ethics and regulation. Henrik kindly curated the ethics chapter. There are things around implementation. This is one of the largest chapters that I curated, commercialization of AI, everything that people need to know when it comes to radiography for education. And it is like a first textbook that is going to help set the scene. There's a lot of guidance and regulation for healthcare practitioners on AI, particularly radiographers. This is the currently available, but soon to be updated with generative AI clauses, guidance for the Society and College of Radiographers, which I led back then in 2020-2023 as the chair of the AI working group at the Society and College of Radiographers with a lovely team of amazing people from the UK. And it was published as a document on the left, but also as a paper on the right. And it covered all areas of practice within radiography. There are also many standards. We have here contributed to a standard from the British Standard Institute about responsible AI, standard BS 3440, which outlined how we can be doing well across the life cycle of an AI tool. Our Health and Care Professions Council outlines that we really need to have increased and enhanced digital skills relating to the new technologies. This is particularly true for radiographers, and there are updated competencies for fitness to practice. Basically, we need to know our digital tools before we use them, and this was very much welcomed by the UK colleagues, and now it creates a lot of responsibility for educators to ensure they update their curricula in radiography and associated professions to ensure they're fit for practice. We have lovely services in the UK, NHS England Digital Transformation Service, which is great for developers, from idea to conception to realization. And there is also the Software and Artificial Intelligence as a Medical Device website, which offers advice about regulations for AI. And of course, this was this lovely paper, I mentioned that before, that customizes and contextualizes the EU AI Act from the European Society of Radiology perspective. I really think we need to be doing something similar in radiography. We're actually going to be doing something similar in radiography through the Imaging Informatics Working Group. There's a lot of impact on the professions and teamwork when it comes to AI. NHS England has run the DART project, understanding and developing healthcare workers' confidence in AI. This was a very well conducted and disseminated project, which basically outlined 5 areas where future workers will belong. The shapers, who set the direction for AI policy and governance, the drivers who champion and lead AI development and deployment, the creators who create AI technologies for use in healthcare settings, the embedders who implement, evaluate, and monitor AI technologies deployed within healthcare settings, and the users of AI technologies in healthcare settings. I don't know where we see ourselves. I see radiographers, but also radiologists can fit in all of those, depending on their direction, skills, and motivation to work, but also their respective skills and competencies. The truth is that it's important to work as a team, and here we have 45 different healthcare professionals from different countries, from the medical imaging and radiotherapy ecosystem, who came together and said and highlighted the importance of multidisciplinary team and multi-agency approach for AI implementation. Many people here from USOMI as well, but also from many other societies and professions. And this got the Editor's Choice Award as a commenter in 2024. This is how the ecosystem looks like: the patients, the public, the families, the carers in the center as public contributors, and all the professionals working around them, from the clinical to the technical and technological, to the bridging professionals, to the different agencies, trying to work for a common cause. There's also a lot of difference when it comes to multidisciplinary work in healthcare. We have published a study in IJMI about the importance of adoption and what are the priorities for different professionals, in this case radiologists, radiographers, and medical physicists. You can see the priorities on the top. Whilst radiologists feel that the most important priority for AI adoption is leadership, to manage it, to manage the adoption and implementation, radiographers and medical physicists felt that either guidance or standards or governance frameworks are the most important thing to carry this forward. We recently published a paper which had more than 2,200 responses across Europe. We call it Radiographers. It was a survey around the perceived impact of AI on professional identity, careers, and roles. Radiographers know and understand that their professional identity is going to change and will be different from today, but they also understand the need to work closer with all the other medical imaging and radiotherapy professionals, including radiologists, oncologists. Image and treatment quality, we feel, will remain responsibility of the radiographers while they interact with patients. And they feel that the different skills between the technical and the clinical, the anatomy and the technology, the pathology, will remain equally balanced in the future, because this is what makes us who we are. This is my final slide. I would like to thank everyone. I think that AI is here and now, and it impacts different professions and contexts in different ways. We will need to design new competencies and new career pathways for radiographers. That's why we have the EFRS Imaging Informatics Group. We have to work together with all disciplines. We have to ensure that the continued education is not a luxury, but is actually a responsibility we have towards our patients. After all, everything we do is for our patients now and in the future. Thank you so much. Thank you, Somi, for hosting us. Thank you, Gennaro. Thank you, Pinal, and everyone. Mercedes for preparing, and Paola for all your help, and the board, and the Imaging Informatics Working Group at the EFRS. And thank you, EFRS, a lot for support. I'm just stopping here in case you have any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Christina. And I really think that there are several questions that you try to explain with your answer, and the main topic is regarding how this technology is coming to change and is already changing our profession in some levels. Me as a radiologist are thinking about my side, but it's also important to have your side. And I think that we also have just one question, Pnar, right?
Yeah, I think this is not a question for over here, but I want to say a general thank you for these two great presentations. This is really a topic at my heart, with the social, well, the awareness of where do we stand with the educational part and the implementation of that educational part, because we are targeted with AI in several perspectives over the past, actually almost maybe a decade at least.
Yeah, and it's always so easy for vendors to say, "Oh yeah, we have AI. Okay, how it is really useful at the moment for we as a radiologist, is useful for we as technicians. So having lectures like yours are so important for us to better understand and also to have a better point of view, a better and different point of view. I noted that we have a hand raised from Rufus Gikera. Please write your question on your observation on the question answer box, so we can read and we can ask, read to the to our panelists.
And another point that I want to say is I'm a resident, and the example of Rembrandt was really nice. The student, so we actually are presented with this already finished piece of art, but where do we stand on coming to that piece of art? And it's getting much more important in, if we want to, what Christina extensively showed in the different archetypes, if we want to perform as a student, it doesn't matter, in radiography, radiology, medical informatics in general, is to have that backpack of knowledge and standardized. So what you showed as well as, where do we stand in AI education and the implementation of that framework? And do we want to have that of obviously per program or curriculum? And do we want to have that what we have now per university, per region, per nation, per part of the world, like European? So I think it's going to change. I noticed already in I'm so happy to see the publications from the from your federation. I noticed within our society is changing as well, because we have it implemented in the residency program, but actually there's not an educational framework. So how is that? Because I saw a lot of great papers. How is that within your society? Is there already a framework?
Henrik, would you like to go first? I can chip in, or happy to start, whatever you like.
I feel you might have the best view on this, Christina, and I can share my perspective afterwards if that's okay. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Always very kind. So what I would like to say is the FRS having recognized the need for new skills, knowledge, skills, and competencies, they have assigned us with a very honoring but also very challenging role as the Emerging Informatics Group to develop that framework. So basically now we start. We have with us an amazing team of people in the Emerging Informatics Group. I'm the chair, Henrik, Erenstein, and Robin de Coster, Nikos Stoyanos, that we worked already on Emiro, and also Duncan Monroe and Dr. Claire Rainey from Ireland. So we are 6 people who will be working on that. There are 2 PhD students who are related to that project, who currently undertake work, or one of them on the knowledge, skills, and competencies framework for AI, but we will expand further because we are an emerging informatics group, so we will look at PACS and RIS and other systems and platforms, and also on AI leadership, because within the specific domains, every professional will have to lead their own part. So the radiologists their own part, and we have to show leadership, demonstrate leadership in our own areas of practice. So these 2 PhDs will feed into that work. We will do a Delphi study, and we are very happy to share with Yusomi. Actually, we have already discussed with them. We are doing that, and I'm sure with the current Yusomi board, there will be discussions about, methodologies and perhaps shared methodologies in the future, because we work so nicely together. And this is going to be like a benchmarking for curricula at level 6, which is like the bachelor's degree, the first degree. Some countries, they have it in 3 years, other countries 4 years. And then we will go into level 7 as well, which is a master's level. And there are many, many more thoughts about the future. But I think benchmarking that and explaining what is expected at this level is going to help. We have also now a textbook. We have different AI courses emerging or being available for radiographers. And, this is a very active space, because the importance after that is to try and see what are the clinical roles and pathways. So once you have the education in place, are there the pathways for the people to progress into that? Yeah, thank you. That's for me.
Can I quickly add to this? Sorry, Pinar.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like Christina pointed out, this is development from a European perspective, and Christina is very proactive in this topic regarding this topic in the UK, of course. We've been working with the other two MIRT departments in the Netherlands, from Groningen, Eindhoven, and Haarlem, to implement AI in our educational curricula since 2018, 2019. And it is difficult to try and see what is the best position to fit it in, because the developments have been going so quickly. And ever since the implementation of ChatGPT as the lead in this from a commercial perspective, we have seen the use and the adoption of large language models by students. And this is also difficult because we want to highlight the pros and cons from our university perspective. But somewhere in the coming years, we will have students who already received this education during their previous educational courses, primary school, or whatever age you are, like it was with the introduction of the internet. So it is really, testing and feeling where we are and what the flow of society will be, what we need to increase awareness.
Yes, that's why I really like this idea. And also within the medical field, with medical students, there are programs being developed as well for the levels, what you also mentioned, Christina, within the Netherlands, I know, and obviously also in especially the US. Obviously, it will be the same in England as well.
I think we have time for just one question, and I guess it's better to read that one by Muhammad Arshad Javid. So sorry for the pronunciation. Because it's quite apparently general. What are major problems in radiology to solve by AI engineer other than reduction in scan time and image quality? I think that we can answer with that question with a webinar of a 2-hour length. So, Hendrik and Christina, one problem for each one. Hendrik, or lady first, or Christina first?
I'm very happy to go first for this one. I guess, as you say, this could be one whole webinar. I guess what is really important, it depends for which profession. Yes, if you ask for radiology, if you ask for radiography, I think for radiography, the big thing is around safety. So try to ensure there is standardization of safety. And I think this is a very, very big thing, not just in radiography, but also in healthcare. Across different scanners, across different equipment, hardware, software, is standardizing safety. And I think there's not enough around safety at the moment. There are many other things in all the other domains I mentioned. Image quality improvement, radiation dose reduction, but around safety, there's not enough. And I think we need to be pushing more around safety. It might be safety in MRI, safety in CT, but I think standardizing safety procedures and minimizing risks is actually one way that AI can really, really help. And many thoughts about that, and I'm very happy to contribute to a webinar in the future about safety. But I think it's one of the big topics. Thank you.
Okay, great, Christina. Now,
I agree with Christina. Again, it is also a very multifaceted aspect and very difficult to answer. Safety is an important one. Responsible AI, which really hooks into it. As a keyword, it's very easy to find information using responsible AI. And adoption and acceptation is a very important topic in which you need to take into consideration a lot of different aspects like usability, user interfaces, how do you represent uncertainty. Sorry, it's not a very concrete answer from my side, but yeah.
Okay, it's enough. Don't worry, Hendrik. Well, Pnar, I think that it's time is running out very quickly. So for us, it's time to end this webinar. And obviously, as usual, I'm so glad that you saw me, allowed me to stay here with all of you. And please, I'm so happy to stay another time with Pnar as my partner in crime as usual. And I suggest everyone to send us via email or via social media your feedback regarding these webinars. I hope this webinar reflected and satisfied all your expectation. And by my side, I'm so happy and I hope to meet you also in person very soon. Pnar, last words from you.
Thank you, Janar, for these great words. Likewise, I hope we can moderate again soon in the future. Hendrik and Christina, thank you again for joining and for these amazing presentations and your answers. All the persons who joined us today, participants, thank you very much also for your questions. And I want to just remind you for the next webinar, which will be our first webinar next year, AI in Oncologic Imaging, on January the 13th by Daniel Pinto dos Santos, our president now, and Laura Fournier from Paris. So by this, I want to thank you all again, and hopefully we will see each other soon.
Bye-bye.
Have a great evening, everybody.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you.